Good morning, good afternoon. This is Paolo Salvai again, Senior Program Officer here at the ITC-ILO. Welcome to the fourth week in our course on membership strategy. So 1/3 of the course is almost gone. So we are now approaching the fourth week, and this week we will deal with the key enablers for an effective membership strategy. So let's have a look a little bit at what we did so far. Let me share with you these PowerPoint presentations. First, in the first week, we had a look at which are the key membership concepts and which are the key objectives of membership development. So an organization normally would like to have more members in order to be more representative and have more financial resources. You might recall the famous vicious cycle where you have more members, more resources, you are capable of providing better services, and the negative cycle where you have very little members, so you don't have the capacity to hire competent staff, you don't have money, you are not capable of providing a relevant service offer. If we think about the strategy, so the key objectives are to be more representative and have more financial resources. And we should reach those objectives through three main pillars that are the so-called intermediate objectives. This is now to recruit more members, so new members recruitment, to improve our members' retention because we want our members to pay their membership fees, and to have more engaged members, so members that access our services, that pay for our services, that are happy about our services. But we also need to have a number of key enablers. This is how we define them here at the ITC-ILO ACTAMP. And we identify three key enablers. Number one, board involvement. Number two, to have a professional secretariat. And number three, to have a proper IT system. This week material will be composed by these video lessons that is contained here in the read section. And then you will have to go through a number of exercises to review your practice and your rules within your organization. So in the dive session, you will have to go through a checklist, and also to prepare a PowerPoint presentation that ideally you should present to your board members, proposing a number of changes to make sure that you have in place the right structure, the right key enablers for implementing successful membership strategies within your organizations. So, and this is what we are going to do into the dive session. And finally, in the engage session, we will have a webinar with one of key experts on membership development, Mr. Arnaud de Koster, this country manager in the Dutch Employers Cooperation Program, and he was the former head of the ITC-ILO ACTAMP here in Turin. Yes, you will also have to measure somehow your organizational readiness through this checklist to understand where are your flaws, your weaknesses, and try to address those. But let's start. We have to look at three elements, what we define three key enablers. Number one, the role of the board. And why we are going to address the board? Because in many organizations, membership development is not considered an important topic, whilst we see that it's essential because EBMOs are composed by members, work for members, so membership are the most precious assets. So in the most important strategic decision, the board has a role. And so this is why we should see which could be how we can try to improve the role of the board for what concerns membership retention, membership recruitment, and also putting in place a system rewarding staff that is somehow contributing to the membership development in the organization. Secondly, we will look at the role of the secretariat with a specific focus on the CEO, then on the membership department, in case you have one, and then of the staff in general, because all the staff in the EBMO secretariat contributes to the implementation of successful membership strategies, from the CEO to the receptionist, because each of them have contacts with members, and so each of them should be able to connect with members, to provide the good information to members in an appropriate manner. And finally, we will look at the tools and support systems that exist and that are used by many employers and business member organizations in order to support the membership strategies. In this slide, you can read a number of possible actions that can be performed by your organization to make sure that these key enablers are there, up and running. Number one, ensure that the board is aware, prepared, and participates. Then point two, ensure that the CEOs is fully involved in the development of membership strategies, policies, and their implementation. Number three, the creation of a professional department for membership development. Number four, involve all the staff, as I mentioned before, in the implementation of membership policies. And number five, have a proper IT system supporting your membership activities. Let's now review each of these 5 points one by one, and let's try to be more explicit on what can be done. Okay, on the board involvement. You might all agree that board members are very much involved in taking the strategic decision of your organization. They should not be involved in the daily management, but in taking the strategic decisions. So when we think about board members, we think about persons that are setting the strategic priorities, that are drafting or co-drafting and approving the strategic plans of the organizations, but only in a limited number of the employee and business member organization, the board members are fully participating and taking an active role in the design and implementation of membership strategy. And this is fundamentally wrong, because as said, members are all for employers and business member organizations. So board members should obviously be fully informed on the membership situation as soon as they join the organization. So how many members are there, how many companies is our organization representing, how many employees are employed by companies that are part of our organization. So all the famous key membership indicators that have been explored in the second week of the e-course on membership development should be at the disposal of board members. And somehow, as it is not evident, at least to our researchers, it would be important for board members to even receive a kind of sort of onboarding process where they receive the most important information concerning the functioning of the EBMOs with a specific dedicated section on membership. Secondly, we saw, at least as a result of the survey that you took 2 weeks ago on membership development in your organization, that most of your organization do not have a written strategy for membership development. And again, I think this is something that should be addressed, and hopefully as you are taking part in this course, you can discuss with your manager, with your CEOs, and subsequently with the board on the importance of having a proper, well-structured membership strategy. And when this will be the case, the more members should definitely participate in the design of this membership strategy. Normally it's a 3-year plan to improve the representativeness of the organization, with a dedicated budget for new recruitment, with specific activities for membership retention, and other things that we will explore more in details in the next weeks. But the board members should definitely be involved, and the final document should be discussed and formally approved by the board. In some organizations, might even be useful to create a specific committee dealing with membership development that might be composed with by a number of board members, together with the director general of the organization and eventually the head of the membership department. This might be particularly useful when the role of board members would not only be to try to define which are the targets of the organization related to membership recruitment and membership retention, but also when there is a group of board members that is well equipped and is somehow available to even take a more active role in the implementation of the membership strategy. And let me be even more precise with that. Maybe some board members that would take part and would participate in this committee would even take part in some initiative aiming at recruiting new members, or on the contrary, if there is an influential member that for some reason is doubting whether renewing his membership within the organization, they can have a discussion, they can visit this organization and try to convince them to stay within the organization. So the role of board members in this specific committee becomes even more important. They're sort of ambassadors trying to convince other companies or other business associations to stay within the organization. Another important role of the board member is to keep an eye on the evolution of membership based on the KPIs that have been defined. And so ideally in every board meeting there should be a specific point in the agenda, one item in the agenda where the latest information about the membership situation are provided to all board members. It shouldn't be a long discussion, but simply reporting where this organization is relating to its membership target, and if something is going wrong, maybe further discussion can take place. I think it's also a way of making sure that the board members feel more involved in the membership development, and somehow they keep following the story, because if they receive regular information, they are interested in knowing how things are going and maybe even readdressing or providing inputs to readdress difficult situation. Yeah, and the last point, I already mentioned it, agree on a specific role of board members that might be in the committee or even generic board member in the even implementation of membership policies related to retention, re-enlisting and recruitment. Is the board having such a role in your organization? As far as I could see from your replies in the survey a couple of weeks ago, the role of board members is so far pretty limited concerning the membership development. But so you have, I think, a very important role to make sure that the board members really understand that it's essential, they are much more involved into this, and obviously provide a wise advice to make sure that your organization can be successful in recruiting more members and in retaining members, and as such being more representatives. Let's now talk about the CEOs, and so the CEOs or Director General, Secretary General, you can call him or her as you wish, because he or she have a very special role in the definition of membership strategy and in their implementation. So the CEO should normally be the first responsible for drafting and implementing the strategic membership plan. Obviously it should be formally approved by the board, but normally the person in charge of drafting or formally presenting it to the board is the CEO. Some organizations have even an interesting system in place that even the remuneration of the CEO is partially related to the achievement of the membership goals. So if the board fix a number of targets, meaning, I don't know, they should number of paying members should increase from 150 to 250 in 1 year, the bonus of the CEO is even linked to the achievement of that target. It is one of the core structural objective and function of the EBMOs. So the CEO should also have a very active participation in the implementation of membership activities aimed at retaining or recruiting companies, members and associations. What does it mean? That the CEO might even, again, take part in some recruitment campaigns, or when there are some problems with some members that are not using the organization, not participating in the life of the association, might leave the organization, he or she might have a special role in visiting them, in calling them, to make sure that the organization can offer something valuable for them and avoid the unsubscription from the organization. Another role of the CEO is to develop internal policy within the secretariat to make sure that all the staff uses the IT system that the organization has to input data about members. And we will talk about this later on, but it's extremely important to have in place a culture of sharing data amongst the different staff in the secretariat and amongst the different departments. It is not rare to see organization where the membership department does not want to share information with the legal department and vice versa. I mean, come on guys, you are all, and ladies, you are all working for the same organization. It is essential that the right amount of information is shared within the all staff. Otherwise, you work in competing teams within the same organization. Last point, it is very obvious but very important that the CEO frequently monitors the relevant membership data to track progresses and make sure that the membership situation is following what is expected by the board. Let's now switch to the third important item. This is how to create a professional department for membership development. And again, in a number of your organization, you have a dedicated department or at least a dedicated person dealing with membership. But in some organization, I noticed that still you don't have a dedicated department, and somehow each of the staff in the secretariat has a partial role in trying to reply to cover this role. So it might be useful to set an area or department in charge of membership activities, and the head of such a department would normally be an expert in marketing and communication. This department should normally have a budget, objectives, rentability, and a number of reports criteria. Because it is not rare to have membership department without a budget, so it's very difficult to conduct easily any type of recruitment campaigns or recruitment activities without having a budget. And then it is essential to establish the responsibilities of the membership department, and we will see in next slide which are the typical tasks of a membership department. So number one is organize recruitment campaigns. We will not go in depth into this because this will be object of discussion in coming weeks, but there are different types of recruitment campaigns. Then is conduct all the activities related to membership retention, and in particular, again, target with specific actions those members that are at risk because they are not really participating in the life of the association or not using the services, so are the best candidate to leave the organization. Then organize events and coordinate the members' engagement activities with the communication department and other departments. So it could be networking events, social media campaigns, satisfaction needs assessment surveys, etc., etc. Then an important point is about to train and advise and coach all the colleagues in the secretariat on customers and member service orientation. And this is really important because it is very important that every person in the secretariat of the EBMOs has at least basic knowledge about customer service orientation. What does it mean? That if the reception is the first entry point for your members, he or she should have the skills to immediately be kind enough and good enough to understand which is the problem and maybe pass on channel the call to the relevant colleague. And finally, the last key task of a membership department is to coordinate the activities of the account managers, and we will see in next slide who the account managers are. in order to offer a more personalized service, some EBMOs have put in place systems where each or most of the EBMO's professional staff is in charge of servicing and communicating with a certain number of members. And this system is called account manager system. So the EBMO staff have a list of members for whom he or she is the entry point. So if a member needs something from the organization, their account manager will be the first person they will contact. And so the account manager, by providing himself or herself the reply, or might channel again the request to the colleague having the specific knowledge to solve the query of the member. Somehow this personalized access, this personalized approach, and the fact to have to deal always with the same officer in the EBMOs aims at giving the members a sense of familiarity, a kind of intimacy with the officer in the secretariat. And at the same time, the account manager might also gain a better knowledge of the member he or she is servicing, because he or she is only dealing with a specific number of members, and after a while he or she starts knowing them. And this type of system is borrowed by insurance and financial institutions that started using this personalized account manager approach at least a decade ago. And now it is quite common to have such system both in national cross-sectoral association and also in sectoral association. For what concerns national cross-sectoral association, it is not rare to have staff that starts becoming expert within a specific sector. So they might serve those sectors association or those companies that are really operating in a specific sector. And this makes life easier also for the EBMO staff that starts having a specific knowledge on that specific sector. Okay, this will be a sort of repetition, but it's again an important point 4. So to involve all the staff in the secretariat in the membership policies. So one solution could be to create and develop an account management system under the responsibility of the membership department. Obviously, all the account managers should be duly trained in marketing, sales, reporting, and customers orientation. And then obviously as mentioned before, all the staff, even the administrative staff, should receive some basic training again in marketing, clients orientations, and sales. As a last point, it is essential to have an IT system supporting the implementation and monitoring of membership policies. The IT system that we always have in mind is a CRM, so a customer relation management system, where you can store all the information about your members, but also all the interaction that you are having with your members. So a good system is a system where when you receive a call, even a simple call from a member requesting some information, you immediately input this information into the system. And this can help a lot in immediately monitoring how many members are taking contact with our organizations and which services they are using. So the CRM is a very, very important tool for a number of functions, but we will discuss a little bit more about the CRM together with my colleague Barbara Maino, that is the coordinator of a global project titled CRM for Employers and Business Member Organization that will deal in depth with the benefits of having a good CRM system. Another important feature that you might have is a membership portal on your website, eventually with an intranet with the possibility for members to interact with you, and then an automatic verification with the client of the quality of the service rendered. So immediately after a member receives a service, there is the possibility to automatically launch a kind of quick survey to understand whether the service render was up to the expectations of the members. Already mentioned before the importance of culture of sharing information. Obviously, not all the staff should have all the information, because you will not want to give the possibility to a new intern to access the entire data set that you have, but a minimum amount of information should be shared amongst all the staff, and more in-depth information depending on the specific role and function of each staff in the secretariat. In some organizations have even put in place a system where the remuneration of the staff depends on the right inputting of the information into the CRM or the database system. Basically, if a person in the secretariat does not provide timely input regarding the service that is providing to certain members, his or her performance will not be evaluated, appraised positively, because there is no sign of the service that he or she rendered to this member. And with this, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Barbara in next screencasting video to present again in-depth benefits of having a proper CRM system, and also to have a short look at the CRM that have been designed and implemented here in the Actemp Turing department for EBMOs all around the world. See you later in the campus, and thanks.